Aquí son escuelas, universidades de la delincuencia.
Perdón, compañeros, le voy a dar la palabra a la...
Nosotros no hemos sido informados nunca, ninguna declaración de
la Iglesia Católica destruir un monumento histórico para los salvadoreños.
Para algunos se esconde un secreto de manipulación mental, de control del clima, de incluso intento de modificar enfermedades o de provocar epidemias. ¿Es cierto solo la última gran conspiración?
Strange substance found by a Southwest Arkansas man being part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention.
Well, they say the government is dumping chemicals on us to control or manipulate the weather.
And they say the unusual-looking jet trails in the sky are actually chemical-laden chemtrails.
People say the government is up there in airplanes spraying all kinds of chemicals to change or manipulate the weather, leaving what you see there, and they call that a chemtrail.
So what I look up there and I think are contrails, you're telling me are chemtrails?
Yes, that a contrail would be dissipated by now.
And it's interesting, Dale and Christina, this is of interest not just in this country, but European countries and frankly all over the world. A lot of folks interested in it.
Well, Dave, you mentioned that climatologists and others who study the atmosphere believe that they'd be able to surely spot any kind of signs of an ominous plot.
Why is there an increase of flus, an increase of other diseases that hadn't been here? People, getting sickly all the protest. And I was standing with a military veteran, he's a very decorated military veteran, older gentleman, and he said, wow, we sure have some chemtrails today. And I looked at him, said, what do you mean we have chemtrails? He goes, look up in the sky. I go, all those lines. I said, I was wondering what they... He goes, I worked in the military. And he said, young lady, I worked for the people that are putting that in the sky. Now, I'm not going to argue with a decorated military, war veteran here. So I asked him a few questions and he said, young lady, go home and do your research and just know that this is not healthy for you. I don't know why. Why? These are questions that you and I, we the people, need to be asking. Why? Obviously, we can't look up to the sky and see these chalk, like looking lines. Some days they're there, some days the sky is blue. We can't keep overlooking that. We have to start asking questions.
What happens here, military jets, some come out of Key West Air Force Base and they move off into the atmosphere and they drop mylar strips. Some could be a little wider, some are small glass fibers that are coated in aluminum. And what the Air Force does is they take their military jets and they dump these out of the aircraft, they fall into the atmosphere, and some take as much to a day to fall down.
They claim the American government, with the secret approval of the national government, is covertly using jet aircraft to spray population centres with aluminium, with barium and with strontium so as to reduce people's immunity and reduce the global population. The apparent motive behind this conspiracy theory is one world government. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the House that both my ministry and my colleague, the Minister of Health, who have received correspondence on this issue that this conspiracy theory does not have an iota of truth, and that the trails observed from aircraft simply come from jet engines.
It is called geoengineering, fighting global warming by putting a chemical dust in the atmosphere and reflecting harmful radiation back into space.
We take geoengineering to mean deliberate, large-scale intervention in the Earth system.
See them, the plane moves along and the little white trail follows right behind it, and usually about 10 or 20 lengths of the plane or thereabouts, and then it's gone. And you can still see them that way, by the way, once in a while. So there goes a contrail. These other things we're talking about are not at all the same phenomena at all. These planes go by and they billow out this white smoke, and it covers the sky from horizon to horizon. It doesn't dissipate at all. Can come to any other conclusion but that somebody is spending a lot of money and effort to spray the planet. The question is, why?
There's not the white cloud blue sky that we had only a few years ago, but it looks like there's some sort of massive industrial activity or forest fires burning over there, and we see that typically every night.
I think that we just need to wake up and just look at what's happening, because we can't just ignore it, because it's going to get worse and worse if we just keep ignoring it and pushing it away like, oh, that's nothing. There was mason jars, and they were brand new, sterilized, and that's what we catch the rain in. And then there was a HEPA filter that we tested the air with.
Okay, so you caught rain and then you basically filtered air. What did you find?
Aluminum, barium.
When you get to metals and biological systems, you're no longer talking about the bulk aluminum that people think about when they're drinking from soda pop cans and that. So once it gets to the aluminum oxide stage, it just forms a plaque within your arteries and shuts down life. Aluminum is a very specific, nasty, and biological system. It takes that site and it never lets go, and it shuts down the site, and that's it. And so as you accumulate aluminum over time, it causes major neurological damage because it ends up as aluminum oxide that's essentially stuck in place and can't be flushed out by normal systems.
Aluminum is known to have cancer-causing effects. The half-life is decades. I think that we should be working on taking more of these toxins out of our environment instead of adding more toxins in. It's very concerning that if we add more toxins to our environment, that will be increasing the rates and risks of cancers, even one patient.
Wherever the material is coming from, it is there. The amount of metal falling on us cannot be disputed. Absolutely, this is not speculation. If our land base is being poisoned, if our waters are being toxified, what will we have left to work with? Whatever we choose to focus our time and energy on, whatever our political beliefs, that this is a common ground for all of us. We must have air that we can breathe that's not full of toxic chemicals and metals. We must have water that's not completely laden with whatever is being emitted from these aircraft. And if people stopped to consider that the atmosphere is as thin as a layer of paint on a basketball.
He told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and control the rest.
Whatever is in that is falling down upon you and upon your animals and upon the earth. And I mean, it's frightening to me. And if people don't start really waking up and facing the fact that we've got people that are doing terrible things to us, and we had better wake up and fight back now.
Folks, these people are playing God. They are playing God. They're manipulating the weather, and they're spraying stuff into the sky. They are trying to geoengineer everything, including your plants and trees and your ocean. Well, tonight, we're just hoping that instead of not looking at it, you'll start looking into it, because I really believe from the bottom of my heart that we are in a real crisis. They are proposing dumping 10 to 20 million tons of aluminum into the upper atmosphere. What does aluminum do? It changes the pH of soils, which is toxic to plant life.
It seems to be an industry that's being built up to milk the
taxpayers by undergoing some kind of a giant global spraying program to make all kinds of money on the project, and they don't seem to care really what effect it has. They're not trying to experiment to see if humans can survive it or anything like that. They just want to get this stuff up. And then we discover, as we're going further down the line, that there are companies generating genetically modified organisms, or seeds, modified seed crops they're being engineered to resist the aluminum in the soil.
We are being spread, and it's incredible, and it's hard to believe, but we are being spread. I think at this moment, to stop is not an option. Once you know it, and once you have a tool like this, and an opportunity like this, that the issue of chemtrails or persistent jet contrails or whatever name you use for it, that this phenomenon is recognized as being real.
The people who are in power control everything. They control the markets, they control us, now they're even controlling the weather. And they can use that for warfare applications. The one thing that they cannot control is what God had originally made, and that's natural organic seeds. This is called the Hegelian dialect. It's called problem, reaction, solution. The problem here is massive amounts of aluminum, things starting to die. The solution is company X that says, hey man, you're not getting yields on your crop. Everything's dying. But I got the solution. I got a seed that will grow in this environment. The only problem is now you have to start buying from me. We're a little concerned that maybe part of this agenda could be to kill off anything that's natural and organic and re-engineer it with aluminum-resistant GMO seeds.